Welcome back to another episode of Eating Elephants. Today I'm here with Mr. Brandon Farrow. Brandon, what's going on with you, my brother?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I cannot complain. It is a privilege to have you on today. So for some of the people out there who don't know what you are and what you do for a living, let's let them know a little bit about yourself.
Again, I'm Brandon Farrow, born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. Hogan alumni, 2011 from Hogan. I went to Lincoln University. Actually, would have been my graduation class, second semester of college. I took a semester off, just trying to figure out what I want to do in my life. From there, like I said, I went to Lincoln, joined the ROTC. My plan was to graduate as a second lieutenant out of the ROTC and go do my 2 years active and see what the Army had for me after that. However, uh, financial times came and it was hard to keep paying for college, so I ended up going to the Army before that. So I did 2 years at Lincoln, went to basic training in March of 2013. The hardest 15 weeks of my life, being away from family for the first time, not being able to receive phone calls, mail. I had a girlfriend at that time, couldn't see her. Just all the things you're thinking about as a young man. I was 19 years old. First time catching a flight was to Fort Benning, Georgia. So I'm thinking about all this stuff. But it was the best decision I ever made. It really molded me, helped me grow into the man I am today. So from Fort Benning, Georgia, I did my AIT training at Fort Jackson. We call that Relaxer Jackson. Taught me some more things, shaped me up a little bit, and then I came back home. Had a decision to make. You go back to college. I was in the best shape of my life. The plan was to go back and play football, or you can start going to work. Sat with my family and my uncles, and I decided it's time to go to work. School is something that I've never really leaned on. Like, we all got to go through middle school and high school and all that, but college was just like, I want to play ball, but I'm not one of them guys who think I'm going to the league, right? I was good, but I wasn't, I wasn't in there feel good. And that's just me being real with myself. And I think that's something that a lot of young cats need to have that real talk with themselves. Like, hey, bro, look, it's a lot out here other than football, So, like I said, I went back to work, um, started, working at Ford. Then I was big in fitness because of the Army. So I started being a personal trainer. I worked at 24 Hour Fitness at the time. It's now Genesis. Became a personal trainer, got A certified, then started my own thing called Farrow Fitness. I was fortunate to have a gym for about 8 months. It didn't work out, but that was my first business, the birth of my entrepreneurship. Um, from there, I started doing security. You get into fitness and you get swole. You want to be a bouncer. So I started that route. Started bouncing at various clubs throughout Kansas City. Then I started working for professional security companies, which taught me the security business and how to be a professional security personnel.
So not to cut you off, but let me ask you, because I know one thing you mentioned coming right out of high school, jumping into the service. For a lot of us African American males, that's source of anxiety. You hear people say, "I don't want to go to war. I don't want to, go through this or go through that." What was the thing that made you? I wouldn't say change direction, but what made you go that direction to say, "I want to go and serve my country"?
To be completely honest, I never looked at it as I wanted to serve my country. For me, it was I got a younger brother. We both wanted to go to the Marine Corps. That was our goal. That was our dream. Unfortunately for me, I had tattoos as a youngster, so I didn't meet the tattoo requirements. So that kind of split us apart. He ended up going to the Marine Corps. I went to the Army, but I always wanted to be in law enforcement. So as a youngster, we played cops and robbers. I was the cop, right? I was telling my mom, when I get older, I want to work for the SWAT. I want to work for the marshals. So I felt like that was going to help me get to where I wanted to go in the future. Going to the military straight out of high school or straight out of college, I can build my background and be ready for that transition whenever I make it. Um, and I actually tried to go that route as well. I tried to pursue a career in multiple different police departments in Kansas City and Kansas. And God had other plans because I was told I was unqualified for various reasons, but like I said, God had something else planned for me. So
So, so was the looking at doing law enforcement, that was after the your experience in the military?
it was kind of both before and after, more so after. Um, Going back to your original question about the military, I also never looked at it like this isn't for black men. Um, I have a lot of family members that were in the military. A lot of people that were in my life were in the military. I grew up in church. My pastor made it to where all his sons had to go to the military. They didn't have a choice. One of his sons was the top linebacker out of Missouri his senior year. Multiple D1 scholarship offers, but he had to go to the Army. And so seeing that growing up, I'm like, okay, this isn't just for, a certain type of person or white people or black people. This is for people who need that structure. And I would say to any youngster, watching this, you ain't got nothing going on, you need to go to the military. I'm just telling you that right now. One thing it's gonna do is gonna make you grow up. It's gonna build you some character, and it's also gonna give you that financial stability that you need to help you with life. I learned a lot being in the military. My brother learned the same thing. All of my guys, my battles from back in basic and AIT and in my unit, the black guys specifically, it taught us things that we weren't getting at home. A lot of us grew up without fathers. Not saying that my sergeants were father figures, but we had a strong male figure, teaching us things, So I'm not one of those guys who say, oh man, the black man ain't got no business being in the white man army. That's foolish. You ain't got no business being in the streets. So
Right, because I always make the joke when like living in the suburbs kind of gets that same type of stigma sometimes from the brothers who haven't had that experience of life, right? And the stress of not worrying about hyper violence or the stigmas of the neighborhood that you live in coming back to bite you on the tail. So let me ask you, was there ever in the time that you served any tense moments for you? Like as far as on the racial side or just on the side of misunderstanding of culture?
yes, that taught me, that opened my eyes up to being a black man in a white organization. And it molded me for business because that's what I deal with now on the business side. But I dealt with a lot of racial problems in the military. I was called various names, which actually um, led me to requesting to get out early. So I had a 7 year, I call it a 7 year bid. I did 5 and got out. Did the last 2 on paper. I couldn't take it anymore. I was 21, 23 years old, young, didn't have any financial, any guidance, no mentorship. So I was on my own, and I just couldn't take these older white men just, belittling me. I was, big in the gym, so they were calling me things like you big monkey, gorilla, things like that. So now, I'm a grown man. That wouldn't bother me now. But as a 21, 23-year-old boy, I couldn't handle that. And so I requested to get out the military early, which led me to getting a other than honorable discharge. And it's something that I don't regret, but looking back at it, I would have handled myself different. I would have pursued through it. But like I said, that's the reason why it's so important to be around strong-minded people and older people to guide you through those hardships. But racial, it's a lot of racial tension in the military, still to this day. And it's just something that, like I said, you need those people who've been through it to kind of coach you through that. Because you're going to have to deal with that for the rest of your life. So,
One big thing I always say is, never attribute to malice something that you can attribute to incompetence. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's just, kind of sad to hear that. And I think that in a way, maybe that's what some of the brothers run from the military from, for fear of that experience, man. And shout out to you for.
And it's uncomfortable, and a lot of people don't like being uncomfortable, but like you say, you can't grow without being uncomfortable. Growth is in your uncomfort. So, yeah, that also hindered me from reaching my military goals, which my close friends, they know to this day, it haunts me. I had some high standard goals in the military. One, going to airborne school, going to ranger school, doing all these things that would be highly decoratable, when you retire. And because I was not there mentally, I wasn't mature mentally to just push through, I got out and I feel like I quit. And that's one of the things that as a man, you don't want to do. You don't want to teach that to your kids, especially your son. You don't quit. You start something, you finish it. So I had to, put it behind me and put it in the past. I have achieved a lot of other things, but yeah, I often look back like, man, if I would have had this guy in my life back then, I would have, pushed through it. But it is what it
And I think that's huge. The acceptance of mentors, right? The acceptance of that guidance. So after you leave the military, so what's the first thing you did when you got back to being a civilian, living civilian life?
is. First thing I did was I tried to get a job in the military as a recruiter.
Okay.
That didn't work. But the first dumb thing I did, I bought a car, basing off my military pay that I thought I was going to get. And this is the start of financial ignorance, right? Things that I didn't know anything about, that I wasn't taught or didn't take the time to learn and teach myself, which caused me to go to work. So, like I said, I did that, and I just started working, and I slowly went back to being a regular civilian because it was different when I got home. I was running every day. My mind was still conditioned in the military setting. I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm earning my sheets, earning my bed, um, eating my food like I'm, about to go to formation in 5-10 minutes. So I'm eating pretty quick. Everything I'm doing is still military minded. And it took about a year and a half to get back to a regular civilian life, but certain things you still never forget.
Why do them brothers when they leave the National Guard or the military go get that? You didn't get a Charger, did you? No.
I got an all red Chevy Impala SS.
Okay.
It's so crazy. Again, I was young. I wouldn't allow you to wear your shoes in my car. So I was one of them guys who go to the car wash every day. Kept my car smelling good, kept it clean, and hey, I got some little footies, some little booties you can wear when you get in the car.
So you make sure you take your shoes off when you hop in my whip.
What Nelly said?
Yeah, no, for sure. So the really with that being in the military, did you feel like any stigma from the brothers when you came home? Because I know you from the neighborhood and you from a lot of especially rappers. I always pick on rappers because rappers always try to base everything off of where you're from. But you're really from some of those neighborhoods that birthed some of that talent in Kansas City.
And the crazy thing with me is I'm like I call myself the glue. That's my nickname I gave to myself. And I was just telling somebody this Sunday, I'm from everywhere. I went to Grandview, I went to Hogan, I went to Martin City, I went to Blue Springs. That's why I know a lot of people. So I never attached myself to just one place though. So I didn't allow that, or I didn't allow anybody to treat me like, oh man, you supposed to be such and such because you from 44th in Virginia. No, I'm not from 44th. I just stayed there. I also stayed in Grandview and I stayed in Belton too, in Martin City and Raytown. So my mom, unfortunately, we had to move a lot. So I didn't want to say I'm from the hood. That's just not me. Although I know the most people, or I met the most people in that time frame, being in the hood, going to Hogan, but I never attached myself to that. And I'm glad I didn't because it's not my hood. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to. Yeah, I'm Brandon Farrow from 44th Virginia. That's just don't sit right with me. So,
no, that's huge. So, and then I know over time, when I first met you, you were doing like firearm courses and is that the business? 'Cause I know you're an entrepreneur just as much. Like, what kind of business do you own?
So I own a security company. We do security in Cannabis in Kansas City, Missouri, St. Joe, Missouri, Carthage. Pretty much, we're expanding in Missouri. We started off doing, or I started off doing nightlife. I had a partner by the name of Brandon, 2 Brandons, and that's how we got our business, right? 2 Brandons, we look the same, one's tall, one's short. We started off doing security on the 18th of Vine. We ran that district for about 2 years. Went to the Crossroads, started doing security for them. Gas stations around the inner city. And I heard Cannabis was coming to Missouri. We were supposed to vote on it back in 2020. That's when I heard about it. And I'm just like, man, I think I want to get into that because nobody's talking about security. Everybody's talking about owning a dispensary. I don't have the money to own a dispensary, but I had the means to own a security company. I already got one. So literally for a year, I had a 3-ring binder. I stalked, I'm using that word for a reason, everybody who was awarded a license in Missouri. I contacted everybody. I stayed on this one guy's case, and a year later, we shook hands, and here we are. 3 years in the game. I think I am the only black-owned security company in this industry in Missouri. We are growing rapidly. We have started 2 dispensary companies, going on our third, setting their security protocol up, and that's what we do. We are we baby OGs in the game right now in this cannabis industry, but it's a particular industry, and it's one of those things where you got to find your lane. Everybody's not getting a dispensary. Everybody's not getting a grow house or a manufacturing company. You got to find your lane. There's a lot of lanes.
So, and not to go away from, the cannabis security, but I know one of your most notable moments was like when Young and May was in Kansas City, right?
That's everybody's favorite story. So let me walk you through that day or that week. I got contacted late. The promoter hit me up, said the company that they were using couldn't come through, and we wanted to add security. So I'm like, all right, here, this is what it's going to be. Everybody knows Brandon is more higher in rate than a lot of companies. Let me explain to you why. I think this is a perfect time to tell you why. I take security very serious. I'm not one of those guys who just do security just because I like it. I live, breathe, eat, sleep security. So what that means is I'm going out of town to train. I'm studying. I'm sharpening my skills. I'm at the range. I'm perfecting my craft. And that's why I charge more, right? So I also look at it like OG Bobby Ho said, how much would you charge me to take a bullet for you? And I'm still in that, right? But you got to look at it like that. So Young and May comes to Kansas City. She has no security with her, so she needs security. So we're on stage. Everything's going good. I got to tell y'all the whole story. It was a bad night from the jump. Before Young and May got on stage, I'm in my patrol car. I get out. My can of mace hit my door. It sprayed in the air. So it got on my arm. I didn't know it. I get on stage. Young and May's performing. I wipe my face. So now I got mace in my eyes. So if you go back, anybody got a video, you go back, you'll see me in the corner. I took a water bottle and I dumped it on my face. But after that, I couldn't see. So when they started shooting, I can only see out of one eye. So I'm doing the best I can to get Young and May off the stage. Luckily, we got off stage. I got her in the car. We drove out. But that was probably the worst situation I've ever been in because I'm trying to struggle with not seeing, make sure she's safe. My wife at the time was on stage. Sorry, I said that wrong. My wife was at the stage on time. I had one of my security officers handle her, get her off the stage. It was just bad from the jump, but that was probably my most memorable security experiences with Young and May. Luckily, she got her safe, and I don't think she ever come back to Kansas City after that, but I don't blame you.
Yeah, once the shots get to ringing out while you're doing your hit classic, it's about time to go. Shout out to Young and May. If you watching,
shout out to Young and May. She was only on stage for like 10 minutes too.
Shout out to Young and May. Next time we're gonna have you all the way right. You come on back to Kansas City. We're gonna have you perform inside, not outside. But and I think that's the biggest thing. We talk about pricing, and we talked a lot about being an entrepreneur, and people not wanting to pay your price, but like you said, not only proven security, but somebody who's very active, right? Securing different types of things. So when it comes to cannabis, is cannabis a high theft profession? Is it you have people stealing weed all the time?
Luckily, not in Kansas City. However, St. Louis is probably one of the top crime cities for theft in cannabis, especially on that border to Illinois. Um, I'm not sure if they've started coming in during business hours. However, I know for a fact because of things that we've changed that after hours they are breaking into stores and it's pretty bad. They've caught on to how we move with vehicles and things like that. So um, it's going to get there in my opinion because it's just like, I mean, we're going to call it a spade a spade. It's the drug game. So dope boys get robbed all the time. This is no different. And this is what I try to get my clients to understand. Yes, you are more blue collar and more corporate. You still selling drugs. So we have to operate as if we are in the streets, right, with safety. And I don't know too much about the dope gang because I never was in it, but I'm sure that the trap house had guns. right? So where you stash the money, they heavily guarded. You know, the guy who's the top dog, whether he the plug or whatever, he not walking around without the strap. So that's the same mindset that I would try to advise the corporate world, the cannabis world to have. Just protect yourself, protect your client, protect your asset. Stop relying on and depending on it's insured. Let's get to the point to where we don't have to file an insurance claim. That's what I'm about, right? We all got car insurance. But just because I got car insurance, I mean I'm going to drive reckless. I don't want to scratch the 5.0. So I'm going to drive like I got some sense so I don't have to file insurance. So that's the same mindset um, they should have in that industry. And just in security in general. So.
No, I think that's huge. So, and correct me if I'm wrong. With cannabis still being illegal on the federal level, they are basically the criminals have caught on to the fact of that people who sell cannabis have to be crafty with their money and how they store it, and crypto and whatever means that they have. So if you're if you got somebody watching today who's thinking about getting in the cannabis industry or is currently in the cannabis industry and struggling with security, what would be, besides, I guess, staying vigilant, what would be a good tip for them to start, when evaluating how they should start moving?
Don't tell nobody. That's the biggest thing I would advise. Like, man, it's one of those businesses where, I've been a consultant to 3 companies, right? Man, y'all telling everybody y'all plan. You can't do that. I wouldn't even suggest that you know my plan. It's too risky. And like you said, you're dealing with money that you can't take to every bank. Now, there are some banks that allow you to take it, but they only allow you to bring in so much money, right? So where are you putting that other cash? I don't want to know. You shouldn't tell anybody else. I think it's one of those businesses where you and your right hand need to know. That's it. But unfortunately, you and your whole staff knows where the money's at, and that's when shit starts happening. There's a story I read a couple years ago. There was a guy in California. He had so much money, he bought a old military plane and built a monopole, mounted it on the pole. That's where he keeps his money at. So he has 24-hour access security, just watching his money. You got guys who buy property, like El Chapo and all the other cartel leaders. They stuff money in the walls. So it's that type of business where, you read these ridiculous stories and they are true. Like, because again, it's a cash business. You go into a dispensary right now, you use your debit card, they're giving you cash back for change. So it's a cash business. Again, it's federally illegal on that level. So you have to get creative. And again, I'm not a dispensary owner. I don't own a grow house. I study the business though. It would be a disservice to myself to not know how my clients are moving for their safety. But you just gotta get creative and keep it in house. Keep the who know what to yourself. So
Business. So, being in that industry so long as a liaison and really, helping people, secure the bag, so to speak. What have you learned? Because I know you have your own business that's wrapped in marijuana, right?
yeah. So I started my company in November 2018. One, I soaked up so much knowledge from working at different companies. I'm not giving them a shout out, but just 5 different companies. I learned how to be the chief, how to be the Indian, how to be the sales rep, how to be the marketer, how to be the HR, everything that I needed to bring to my company. I studied it. And then, like I said, we started nightlife and we went to, schools and cannabis, college, colleges as well. So one thing that I've learned in this particular industry in cannabis is that things change fast and you got to be able to move swiftly. You got to be able to adjust. It's a new business in Missouri. We're still learning. It's not even, I don't even think they've cracked the seal yet in Missouri. You're looking at California, been doing this for 20 plus years. Vegas, same thing. Colorado, those are the staples of the game. We're the babies. And so we're still getting adjusted. They're still creating laws and, rules and, how you have to move your money a certain way, how you have to move the weed a certain way. And again, for my company, we're a security. Um, we provide security at the storefront, at the grow houses. Um, we are going to start doing other things. I'm not going to speak on it. Again, that's what this industry is about. For my safety, for everybody else's safety, I can't tell you everything we do, but we in the game. So it's just like I said, to be smart, you don't let the right hand know what the left is doing, but you hire people who can get the job done. And I think that my clients know we're serious in this industry. Some of the people that we scout and potentially try to hire are former military like myself, or former law enforcement, or people who have been doing security at a higher level for a quality amount of time. But I say 80% of my staff is former military. We have about 25 armed officers right now on the armed side, and about 10 on the unarmed side. So again, we're growing. It started off with just me, and this is where we're at today. So that's one of the things that a lot of people don't know about my company. I'm not one of those guys who um, I don't really tell you too much about me, and I think that's why I'm so perfect for this industry. I'm a very secretive, not secretive. I'm a very um, to myself guy. Um, when I met bro, there's a lot of things he didn't know about me. He just knew that I was a firearms instructor, and I had so much going on that again I just don't. I have to really know you to allow you to know what's going on. So I think this industry, like I said, is a very fitting thing for my life.
And also too, so I mean, we've kind of went through multifacets of security, whether it's entertainers or entertainment security, and then I guess clearly medical marijuana pays the bills, right?
Yeah.
So what about like schools? Haven't you done like school security and things of that nature?
So again, I'm a Hogan alumni. Hogan Prep was the first school that we contracted with. We've been doing security for their campuses for going on 5 years now. Shout out to Hogan. Shout out to Coastal Scholar. We also do security at Lincoln University in Jeff City. We do their homecoming seasons and their I want to say core warming, but whatever it is, the Spring Fest. So we do all those events. Um, that is a very out of all my clients, that's the one that I'm connected to the most. Going to both of those schools, knowing that they have given me an opportunity because of the student that I was at both of those schools, it means a lot. I'm very connected to Coastal Scholar and the Hogan staff, as well as Lincoln, and Lieutenant Nunn, Chief Holmes. Those guys, they saw a young black entrepreneur trying to find his way, and they gave me a chance. So I would never forget that. I'm forever grateful. I come through for them whenever they call me. They can call me right now, and I gotta leave. But I want to share a particular story just to let everyone know how devoted I am to those clients, and just to show what we as a security provider do. I got a call from Coastal Scholar, one of the schools. They were concerned that there was someone living in the basement, homeless guy or something. So coach was like, hey, Brandon, can you come? We need to get in there at 2 o'clock in the morning. We'll be coming back from the football game, and I need to get some stuff." And I'm like, "All right, coach, I got you. So say less. What you want me to do? Man, I just want you to sweep the building." And so this is another reason why I charge what I charge. A regular security officer, he don't know what that means. Sweep the building. It's in military terms we call that CQB, right? So that's close quarter combat. So I know how to clear a room. So that's basically what he's asking me to do. Can you clear this room? Can you make sure there's no threat? So I get there at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's a basement. The ceiling level is kind of low, so I'm kind of ducking and walking, and I have my firearm out, and I'm just walking through, and I'm clearing the space. And I did find property of someone that lived there, but the person wasn't there. But because we so tight, that's something I just did. No charge, no invoice. I got you. Take care of me on the back end. But because you look out for me, I'm looking out for you. So that's the type of things that we do for our clients. That we in this for the long haul. And like I was saying earlier, I'm a big longevity guy. So I'm not just doing this to make a quick buck and dip and go do something else. I want to be here forever. I'm trying to get this to feed my kids and their kids. So yeah.
No, I know that's huge, especially the school security thing. The schools need security. And one of the saddest things I saw was like in Uvalde, with I won't use the choice words that I have for the gentleman who responded at first, who had firearms in an unlocked room, they outnumbered that guy 4 to 5 to 1 in the beginning from the first response. They drove right past him walking in and shooting. So that's huge. Um, for people in that situation, or people who work in schools, do you have any uh, advice for them as far as security? Because not all schools have the budget to hire private security or to hire third party security for big events.
That's a challenging question because, again, a lot of schools have different views and opinions on who they trust with a firearm. And that's what it comes down to is not the budget, because you can create the budget. You can get, different sponsors and boosters and all that to pay for security, but it's a trust factor. Even with our clients, they don't trust all my officers to carry guns. I have to tell them which ones that we've trained and went through this, and at the end of the day, it's their decision. They're the client. But I think it's a trust factor. It's a training factor as well. And again, what separates you from the last security officer or the last police officer is your training. How serious do you take your job? We're only required as security officers to shoot once a year with police. Police are only required to shoot twice a year. So it's up to you as that person, whether you're a cop or a security or a bounty hunter or a bouncer, to take your job serious. And firearms training is, to me, it's very serious. I'm not picking up a firearm if I don't know how to use it. You can put any firearm on this table right now. I guarantee you I know how to use it, break it down and everything. So um,
If y'all don't know, that's his Instagram title. Y'all got to see Mr. Farrow. If you put all, he has it already too. If you put any firearm down on the table, he does. What's your daily carry, man? Civilian and when you're at work. What you carrying nowadays?
it's been changing a lot lately. My eyes get big every time I buy something. My most recent purchase was a Staccato P. If you don't know, that is the newer 1911. They call it 2011. I call it the 1911 on steroids. That's what I carry for duty. Um, it holds 22 rounds per magazine. So 2 magazines on my duty belt, 2 in my vest, 1 in. So I got 5 mags on. You do the math. What I carry for personal, I'm going to always be a Glock lover. I don't think there's a firearm better than a Glock. I carry a Glock 45 with a red dot. That is what I carry every day for personal use. I might switch it up and carry a SIG P3. Oh, man, don't give me the line. It's something. I know it get the job done. But
Hey, I feel good because our daily civilian carries are the same thing.
yeah.
I carry a Glock 45. I don't have a red dot on it, and I carry a SIG P320 X compact.
Yeah, P320 it's the silver gray one with a red dot.
Yeah, I have one with a red dot. Yeah,
Okay.
my P320 has a red dot.
Yeah.
And it's very important, to, I wouldn't say necessarily arm yourself, but train yourself.
Yeah.
It's I always tell people, it's not the best gun, it's the gun you train with is usually the best.
Because look, man, a lot of people, we're just going to, we'll go with a high point. A lot of people throw salt on high points. Man, look, I've seen videos with guys using a high point like they use a Glock. Like you said, it's not about what gun you choose. It's about how good are you or how well can you use that gun, right? One of the things I focus on when I take people to the range is I use a VTEC target. So VTEC target is what they use in special forces. So it has the silhouette, but it has a box on the forehead, a box center mass, and a box in the groin area. And they're like, why is that important? If you want to separate yourself from everybody else, you are going to try to put those rounds in those boxes. Because in a real life scenario, we call those the kill switches. Kill switch, kill switch, kill switch. Any of those body parts you get hit, these three, your temple, center mass in your chest, and your pelvic, you're going to fall. So I'm not, if I have to use my firearm, I'm not trying to shoot you to keep allowing you to shoot me back. I want to put you down. I ain't saying I want to kill you, but I want to put you down so the firefight can be over. So that's the way I like to train with my clients or my new shooters or former shooters, whatever. Focus on the temple, center mass, and the pelvic area. You're going to put that person down every time.
Right, and that's huge, especially for a lot of the the concealed and carriers out there. So, you know, I think as a business owner, most of the time the small businesses, you know, are targeted a lot more than even the big businesses. So it's important for small business owners to not only carry their firearm, but to know how to use it and know how and not be scared to use it. Because a big thing with training is also you might be a great shot in calm settings, but under duress, those things change.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we've had a lot of situations. Not a lot. I've had a few situations where I was placed under stress and I had to use my firearm. But again, that's where the training comes. I train with a company in Virginia called Loud on Tactical. We don't shoot targets standing still. Everything we do is moving, on the run. We're doing obstacles, stopping, pulling out your firearm, managing your breathing. That is the way that you should train with a firearm. Yes, start off at the range. Start off getting comfortable with the recoil and the anticipation of the shot. Yes, start off there. But after you start there, get out of that cubicle. All right, you can't stay in that cubicle because I guarantee you, if you use your firearm in the shootout, you gonna move and he's gonna move or she's gonna move. You're not just gonna stand and look at each other and it's not a Western. It don't work like that. You have to be able to place yourself under stress. Dry firing practice is the best thing you can do when you purchase a firearm. You can do so much with that. If you really want to get your heart rate elevated, the best thing I tell people, get you a holster, get you a duty belt, or however you're going to carry your holster, get you a sandbag, do burpees. Do 5 burpees, come up, draw your firearm. You're going to feel different than just standing there and shooting. And that's real life. Your heart rate is going to be elevated, which will also, if you don't train, will cause you to have malfunctions with your hands and your firearm. Clearing a weapon is one of the most common mistakes in people using their firearm. You get a double feed, you get a missed feed, you didn't know that you only had 1 round left. You freeze up. I've seen it. I was working at the juke house one night doing security. There were 2 parties inside arguing. We put them out. They immediately went to their cars and got their guns. I saw the shootout. There was one outside of the juke house door shooting up the street. The guy up the street got shot, but not only did he get shot, when I went to check the scene after they left, he dropped his firearm because he had a double feed. And his magazine, he had his extended magazine, it busted open, so all his rounds was gone. That's why he stopped shooting. So if he would have known how to clear it, fix it, he probably could have stayed in the fight. But those are the things that people don't think about. They think it's all about just shooting and you won.
And I think that's really, I don't know why that's the vibe of our pod, but I'm just gonna rock with it, man. As black males, we got that responsibility to be the most trained people out there with our firearm because we also have the reputation of being the worst with our firearm.
I'm gonna touch on that, bro. Every course I've done, I've always been the only black person. To this day, I've done over 50 courses. I'm always the only black person, and they look at me like, "Who?" You know what I mean? Like, who is this dude in this course with us, man? He ain't supposed to be here until I start shooting. I'm like, okay, we accept him now. But that's the sad part. It's like we don't do this enough, and I have a thing where, and God forgive me if this comes out the wrong way. I only train with them, and I'm gonna explain why. When it comes to this particular sport, they are advanced. Most of the guys that I've trained with are former military, former Navy SEALs, former some type of special forces, Ranger, Dev Gru, MARSOC, whatever. I train with those type of guys. So, again, we don't take our skill set to that next level. But the reason I train with them, and Nipsey pointed on this, because I want to be a spook. So if I can gain their knowledge and get their training tactics and then bring it back to the hood, that's my goal. But the problem when I try to bring it back to the hood is we don't want to pay for it. Now, I didn't spend, I went to Virginia last year. I spent $3,500 on this training, and I'm trying to bring it back to you for $75, and I'm charging too much. That's the problem.
I think it's the fear. It's a fear, because the biggest fear, not necessarily inferiority, but it's even like in researching the law and being wrong. With gun laws changing the way they're changing, gun laws is changing every single day. from the time I took that class with you to now, like pistol braces, right?
Yeah, you can't even. You got to get an ATF step, or tax step, whatever you call it, to have a certain type of pistol brace. And most of us are like, nah, bro, I ain't doing that. You know, even with as simple as this, and this is something that I had to research. Every airport is different when you travel with your firearm. I got held up one time at MCI before they changed it. They lost two of my firearms. And they try to say they lost it until I showed my ass. But going from here to Boston, it's a whole different process. Boston, they don't even check you. You put your firearm in and care if your magazine is by the firearm or book. They don't care. Kansas City, like, nah, you magazine by itself, ammo by itself, firearm by itself, slide lock to the back with a lock in it. Everybody's different. So again, you have to take your time to research this sport because it can get you in trouble. I flew out to Phoenix a couple weeks ago. You can't carry your firearm out there coming from Missouri. You know, I was offered to do a job in California. I had to turn it down. You ain't getting a gun in California. I have a client who wants me to set up security in Jersey and New York for a cannabis store. The process of getting a firearm out there is damn near impossible. So again, these are things that you got to know if you're going to carry this firearm. And driving with it is one of the biggest no-nos. If you're in Missouri and you cross that Illinois border, the first thing you need to do is pull over, put that firearm in the trunk or in the glove box, put the magazines and the ammo in the trunk. If you get pulled over with that gun and everything together, you're going to jail. They don't care if you didn't know. So these are the important things that we don't really talk about. Everybody's like, oh, go get your gun. Go take your CCW class. All right, what after that? That don't mean you have the right to carry a gun everywhere. You have to know what's going on. You have to, like you said, continuous education. Always educate yourself on everything that's changing because these are things that are changing that they're not putting in the media. They want to get you caught up, especially with rifles.
Yeah, because I feel like this ban on the pistol braces, man, I just bought a Scorpion. And I got the brace on it and all that.
And SIG, if y'all didn't know.
Yeah, now that Scorpion is a CZ.
Oh, CZ.
CZ Scorpion. The SIG is going to be that Rattler.
Yeah, the silver one.
Yeah. So I'm, purchasing, you see 9 out of 10 AR-15s you see with people, especially younger people, they're buying Dracos and these little small guns and probably don't realize that you have a felony in your hand if you have a brace on it. It's just as bad as having a silencer now. So if you've got a barrel under 16 inches, you got to be careful.
Yeah. And if you already have one, my advice is to leave it in the house. Because most days, nowadays, rangers are telling on people. You go to the range and you got this firearm that everybody else can't have, they're going to tell on you.
Yeah, especially when you shoot it good, man.
Yes.
I remember when I went with you, we were shooting with the left hand, and you was looking at me like, damn, it's worth to shoot with that left hand. I'm like, I can shoot with both hands. But that's a part of, it's like the gym. We talk about some people go to the gym to look good, and some people go to the gym to train. They want to be able to run 3 miles today or lift 250 pounds at the drop of a dime. And it's the same thing with your firearm. You want to be able to do that. So even more the security, because I know security is your love, and you've hit on it several times. Getting away from the physical aspect of business and then becoming an entrepreneur. How does that work? Because, man, you're a pretty aggressive guy, right? You get to carry guns all the time, got to put your hands on people, dealing with security. Like, how do you balance that every day? What do you do every day to get your mind in the right place to do business? That's a good cigar,
man,
right?
Look, I am the opposite of what I do for a living. And I think that's why if your first impression of me is, damn, he look mean. You get to know me, man. My mama raised me. I'm the nicest guy you ever meet. Real charismatic, chivalry. I'm very, I'm a natural protector. So if you're around me, you're going to feel protected at all times. But I'm a very loving guy. I put others before myself, even when I shouldn't. I care about other people. I'm a loving guy. I love my family. I love my friends. I'm the friend's friend. I'm the friend you want in your life. I'm the friend that's going to call you. I ain't going to kick it with you all the time because I don't go out. But I'm going to make sure you're straight. I'm going to make sure your mental's straight. Make sure you had a good day. Check on you. I'm that type of guy. But I also can turn that switch on. And I had to learn to separate work from home, right? It would be many days where I would come home and I can't, as a young black, I just turned 30 2 days ago. So as a young black, what some people would call successful business owner, I would bring those problems to home. Whether it be problems with my client, problems with my staff, problems with, just things that you don't even think about as a business owner, taxes, um, having this, insurance. I went through some a couple months ago where the company I've been doing insurance with for 3 years didn't want to renew my insurance, which almost shut my business down. But stuff like that are the things that we don't think about as black owners. We like, oh, it's good to be a black owner. But nah, bro, you gotta go through so much. And one of the things I just acquired last year, my mom passed away last July. We could talk about that later, or last June, sorry. I had to get a therapist. And that really, answered your question. I mean, outside of God, that's who helped me, all the things that I'm dealing with in here that I don't want anybody else to know, I can take to my therapist. Um, Again, I'm an expert at security. I'm not an expert at mental health, but I realized last year I need some help, bro, because I'm going through some things where I don't want to talk to nobody else. I don't want you to know that I'm going through this. I don't even know how to tell you that I'm going through this. And so acquiring a therapist, man, that was the best decision I ever made. And I think that for black people, it should be a necessity in your life, especially black men. I got a homeboy who refers to black men as shaking up champagne bottles, and we just waiting to explode. But when we explode, it's too late. So having that therapy for whatever reason you need it, it's a necessary thing.
No, huge, man. Just like your physical and your mental.
Yeah. And again, like you just said, we take care of our physical more than our mental. We buff, swole, pecs, 6-pack, 8-pack, triceps, crazy. You messed up in the head. And we got to stop leaning on physical therapy to be our mental therapy. It's two different things, man. I'm not getting what I need at the gym up here. I'm only growing these because I'm just gonna be a buff crazy guy. So,
no, facts.
And you see that all the time, bro.
No, I think another big thing with us is the trying, man. I think just the trying and the failing, and that's not exclusive to race or exclusive to gender, but trying can take a lot out of you because they have the saying, successful people have failed more times than unsuccessful people have ever tried. And you know especially like you said, even with different hobbies of trying and you being someone who's in that protector role kind of really, I know, does alienate you, especially with other African American males, simply because due to conditions of slavery, many of us have lost that trait, and will argue you against that particular trait, like of even whether it's entrepreneurship or whether it's being in tune with the laws and working to the ends of the law, right? I think that's huge. Most of the time we talk about on this pod is another reoccurring saying that I say is, all the good stuff is in the gray area. The black and white doesn't always yield what being informed does.
Trying, man. That's a great topic because it was hard for me to start a business. I left a good job. Well, I ain't gonna say it was a good job, but I mean, it was decent. It was taking care of my family, but I stepped out on faith. Like, man, look, I want to do this for myself, right? I'm not going to get into why you should be an entrepreneur. Everybody has their own reasons for wanting to be an entrepreneur, but for me, it was like, look, it's something in me that wants to be an entrepreneur. I was in college. I had 7 composition notebooks of different business ideas. I told myself, one of these motherfuckers gonna work. So the first one was the Farrow Fitness. The second was a lawn service, which I did in the pandemic shortly. I had a car detailing, security company, and a food truck, and a bit in like a lounge or something, right? And so I've almost tapped into all of them, except for the car detailing and the food truck and the lounge. But Man, one day I'm sitting at work. I used to work for the Chiefs. I was a game day operator. So we just got ready for all the events, cleaning and all that stuff. I call myself a janitor because most of the work I did was cleaning the Chief Stadium. And so I'm sitting in the break room one day, and I'm like, bro, this ain't it. This is more to life, bro. Like, yes, I'm getting paid every week and they pay me on time, but I'm trying to be in that box. I'm seeing the box, I'm cleaning the box. I can't afford a ticket to the box. So for me, it was just like, nah, bro, it's more to life. So um, to tell y'all the story of the birth of the company, I had a friend named Devontae Bosby, Kansas City native. Um, that was my best friend from knee high. We went to school together, whatever. And I'm like, look, bro, this is what I want to do, man. I'm trying to start a security company, bro. All right, man. Write me a business plan. Just to let y'all know, like, people think when your homeboy make it, he gotta put you on. That ain't the case. And I'm gonna tell you how we rock. Um, Write me a business plan, bro, and I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna let you know. And I didn't get offended at all. I'm like, hey, that's real. That's real shit. I got you. The same way I would have to go to the bank is the way I'm gonna come to you. It was like a 20-something page proposal, business plan, idea. I told him what I needed, how much it was gonna cost to do X, Y, Z, everything detailed. He looked at it, gave me a couple of days, talked to his financial advisor. Hey, I'm gonna give you this. I'm like, bro, I appreciate it. Forever grateful, bro. I'm gonna pay you back when I get it. Took that money, got what I needed to get. From there, I started it, and that's the birth of the company. My very first check was $500. I worked 7 days at a gas station. I got the check printed, never cashed it. Got the check printed out to always remind me to be humble. Because you hear the songs and got it out the mud. Nah, I really got it out the mud, bro. Like, I've never received a bank loan. I've never received any type of loans from, lenders or anything like that. No PPP, none of that. Everything I got, I had to work for, and I pride myself on that. With the help and the not only help, but the belief in a friend, and that means a lot to me. I'm forever grateful, Devontae Bosby, because you ain't have to do that, bro. But I'm glad you did. So I wanted to say that publicly because a lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people think whatever they think about how you started your company, and you never struggle because they see where you at today. And boy, like you said, I've had more L's than W's. Trust me. From having growth, what I call growth too fast. When I first started, man, I had about 12 different contracts, money coming out the wazoo, but I let it go to here. I wasn't. They used to call me Big Shug. I ain't even tall, but that was my mentality. Like, nigga, you on death row, you do what I say. I wasn't. I wasn't a good guy at that in that time frame. I was more of a dictator than a reasonable business owner, and I lost everything, um, from the staff to the partner to the business. And the guy had to sit me down like, all right, bro, you gonna humble yourself, I'm gonna humble you. And I got humbled, and I had to rebuild it. One of the things Rick Ross say, and I like this, is you don't become a true boss until you can lose it all and get it back. But the only way you can get it back is if you humble yourself. And so a lot of people think what they want to think about you and whatever, but man, I'm forever grateful, bro. I wouldn't be where I am today without God. I've been through a lot of stuff fast. I've grown fast. A lot of people will say that, man, you don't act like you're 30, bro. You act like you've been here before, like you're 40 something. I learned my lessons quick, and I keep pushing. I don't dwell on what I went through. You got to learn and keep moving. And now I'm trying to teach people up under me that, hey, look, bro, I've been there. I did that. I had that mindset. Don't move like that, bro. You know. So I had to share that because I meet a lot of people and I get called I'm not gonna go too far into it, but you get called the names and you get called you think you better than everybody and you bougie and you did nah, bro. It ain't nothing like that. If you really sit down and take the time to get to know me, I'm the complete opposite of what you think. I don't place value on money. I was playing golf last week in some Jordans, and the guy was like, "Man, you gonna mess your shoes up?" I'm like, "This is a pair of shoes, bro. That's not where my value's at. I value this sport." So just learning how to receive the blessings but still stay humble, man. That's a sport in itself. It's challenging. So
That's huge. And you know, with that being said, man, I think that's enough for them to chew on, man. This is Copeland Keys signing off for Eating Elephants with Brandon Farrow. And of course, we leave in peace.
appreciate you for having me, bro.
Peace.
Say I know the storm come, I know the storm come. I said I know the storm. Hey, I know the storm coming cause the bullet won't start in the 8. Told my mama keep her dry on all them rainy days. When my niggas died, had to slide, but it still ain't take the pain away. All them tears that I cried when they died, but it still ain't take the pain away.
What? Talking about, why you call it Eating Elephants?
I call it Eating Elephants because how you take on a big task, you got to take it one bite at a time. That's how you eat an elephant.
Say I know the storm come, I know the storm come.